the winner of the $75,000
1 minute a teenage schoolboy,
in the category of medicine and health sciences.
the next catapulted to rock star scientist.
You're so passionate about it.
Yes, I absolutely love science, and that's probably my favorite part about science, is having that thing, that moment where everything just fits together and makes sense.
Jack Andraker's teenage world was transformed in 2012 when he won the prestigious International Intel Science Prize for Students, following his extraordinary breakthrough in pancreatic cancer detection. His reaction was priceless. The clip went viral, and the high school student from Maryland in the United States became an overnight star.
The top award winners of the 2012 Intel International Science and Engineering.
It's like just a blur to me because of how happy it was, and it was just one of the greatest moments ever, because all of that hard work and those hard hours spent in the lab had finally paid off.
It was also something of an eye-opener for Jack's #1 fan, his mum, Jane.
So I bought a little toy pistol that would shoot off confetti so that we could have our own little private moment. Yay, you made it. But it turned out we didn't need that. He actually got the real confetti on stage, just like his dream had come true.
It was a dream born from devastation after a close family friend died of pancreatic cancer. The heartbreaking loss set 13-year-old Jack on a path to find a way to detect pancreatic cancer earlier and hopefully save lives. He started by wading through the web for a way of finding cancer markers in the blood.
I just used Google and Wikipedia to find all the information I needed. It definitely was a process, but I was able to get through it, and I was able to find all these different articles, and it kind of gave myself a crash course in cancer biology in 6 months.
And you were looking for a protein that would be an indicator.
Yeah, because when we're diagnosing these cancers, we're looking at your bloodstream, and we're looking for these changes in protein levels. And while this sounds really straightforward, it's anything but.
No, it doesn't sound straightforward. It's all right.
I set out, and I was like, well, I have to find a better protein biomarker than we currently have. And so I went and I found this database of over 8,000 proteins that I found in your bloodstream.
You had to work through 8,000.
Yeah. It was my summer break, so I shut myself in my room and researched all 8,000 proteins.
Eventually, he identified a protein called mesothelin. Jack discovered it shows up in high levels in early stages of pancreatic, ovarian, or lung cancer. But that was just the start. He then had to develop a way to test for mesothelin, which he did by using electrodes. It takes just 5 minutes and costs only 3 cents. When the test finally worked, he couldn't wait to share the eureka moment with his mum.
So I just run out, and we're just like screaming and jumping up and down, and because that's what we do whenever we're happy. And so, yeah, it was a pretty spectacular moment that night. And then, of course, the next day I had to like go back in and like do the banality of like doing millions of like repetitions of the same thing.
And he was so excited. And to be able to share those ups and downs, the roller coaster, and then be there for him when he had a personal triumph, that was just really a great day.
A lot of shouting and yelling?
We do. We grab each other's hands and we jump up and down and scream because, you know, you got to celebrate those small moments.
To arrive at this not-so-small moment required Jack's rare combination of brains and resolve. After his initial discovery of the mesothelin protein, he emailed 200 labs across America requesting help. 199 rejected his idea, but Johns Hopkins University was the only one to back him. Amazingly, it was only 10 minutes from his home.
Got all your stuff? Yep.
My parents, they're like pretty supportive. They drive me to the lab every day.
In fact, his parents fostered a love of science from an early age in Jack and his older brother Luke, who experimented with everything and anything they could find.
So I was just wondering if that circuit right there is correct.
But of course, you went a bit further as a kid, didn't you? You got into explosives.
Yeah, me and my brother got into these different explosions, and it landed us on the FBI watch list while my mom, since we used her credit card to buy
What did you
everything.
make to get on the FBI watch list?
So I can't say without getting in trouble.
And it wasn't only the FBI upset by the Andraka brothers' crazy experiments. Tell me about the time they closed down the power to the district.
Oh, yeah, they have done that.
Did they fess up to doing it?
No.
Or is it a secret?
Well, yeah, it's still a secret.
Nobody
Don't
knows.
tell anybody.
You're quite proud of these escapades, aren't you?
I think they're great because, you know, you need to make mistakes and you need to try things and you need maybe to have a shock or two, and then maybe you'll be more careful.
But for Jack, the world of science was more than just about blowing things up. It was also about finding a place to fit in.
Can I ask you what it is like for the social life of a young scientist? Are you ostracised because you're different, because you're clever?
So back when I was younger, I was actually bullied a lot because I was like this kind of science nerd. And then I came out as gay, so it kind of like formed the perfect storm of things to be bullied
So
over.
a science nerd and being gay.
Yeah. And so that led to me becoming increasingly depressed. I was suicidal, and it was a very dark time for me. What really got me through that was I would go to these science experiments, kind of like this safe haven of science.
So you're an athlete of the body as well as of the mind, Jack.
Yeah, so I do triathlon and kayaking.
Well, you'll probably be amazed to learn that I'm not a triathlete.
You could be.
Thank you.
You're doing pretty solid there.
Thank you. I like a young man showing a bit of respect to an older bloke.
Whether it's identifying proteins or riding a push bike, Jack Andraka is a man on a mission. Today, he's showing me around the neighbourhood in which he grew up.
It's a nice part of the world that you live in.
Yeah. The DC area is really nice for doing like different types of sports.
Today, at 18, the boy genius remains remarkably down to earth for someone who has met the past, present, and possibly the future president of the United States, and appeared on some of America's most popular TV programs.
What he found is that 85% of all of these cancers are diagnosed late.
But the high profile also brings high pressure. There are skeptics, and science does move slowly. Jack's test is yet to be published or peer-reviewed, critical to confirming if the mesothelin protein is really the holy grail. Also yet to come are the painstaking clinical approvals necessary to turn his acclaimed, brilliant idea into a life-saving reality.
Yeah, so right now I have an international patent on the technology. I'm in talks with several different biotech companies, so hopefully it will be on the market in the next 5 to 10 years.
Now, because we don't know whether there might be a genetic linkage there will be people who have had this disease in the family who want the test. They come to you and say, I want the test, but you can't give it to them.
There definitely is a lot of pressure from people. I get emails every single day asking for this test. And it kind of is heartbreaking to have to turn them down because I have to go through FDA approval, but that's the way science works. Okay, now that my amazing lab assistant will fill up 3
Right, thank
quarters
you.
of the way.
Thank you, Dr. Jack. This is a great moment in my career. Jack's already a hero for the next generation of scientists. He's become the poster boy for young boffins. Today, he's showing me a simple experiment he does for kids at schools and science fairs around the world.
And there we go, your own lava lamp.
It's very pretty. I remember the 70s. Lava lamps, trousers called flares, and a terrible kind of food called fondue.
Messy experiments, especially with kids, are some of the best ways to do this because, especially when we're looking at science education right now, typically you're learning from a textbook. Like it's kind of this bulimic learning system where you try and cram as
Bulimic learnings.
Yeah. Where you're trying
You take it in and then you vomit it back up again.
back up on the test. And you don't learn that much from that because you learn science by doing and not from a textbook.
Jack didn't need the textbooks to land himself a hotly contested place at the prestigious Stanford University, where he'll likely study medicine. Meanwhile, still without a driver's license, his mum continues driving him to the lab where he's working on other ways to detect cancer.
This is an old guy's question, but when will experience of the world destroy your idealism?
I'm still going strong, so we'll see. But I'm hoping to keep my childlike optimism.
Whether or not his pancreatic cancer test makes the market anytime soon, what Jack Andraker has already done for science is significant. A wonderfully geeky kid with a love for experiments has enthused a whole new generation of young scientists. Suddenly, it's good to be clever, and that alone is a great legacy.
Do you look back at yourself in amazement?
I am still pretty awed by the work ethic I had back then. But no, I still work super hard. But yeah, it's definitely really cool to see that a 13-year-old could do that. And that really is my message, is that you can achieve anything if you put your mind to it. I didn't even know what pancreas was when I started, so just imagine what you could do.
Hello, I'm Charles Wooley. Thanks for watching. To keep up with the latest from 60 Minutes Australia, make sure you subscribe to our channel. You can also download the 9Now app for full episodes and other exclusive 60 Minutes content.